What up, boxing world? Wow, what a fight. What a fight. Shawn Porter versus Keith One Time Thurman. He gave us a good fight tonight. And that's all we ever asked for, and that's what we got. Anyway, this is said that this is going to be a fight candidate of the year. I agree, you know. Anyway, let me start off by, if you guys didn't get to see the fight, I found the link to the full fight. It's in the description. Click that link, scroll down below, and you'll see the full fight there. And you can judge for yourself who you think really wins or the performance was from both fighters. But I thought that clearly, to me, I never really agree with the scorecards, but this time I thought the 115-113 unanimous decision by Keith Thurman was accurate, if not very close. It could have been 114-115 or something of that nature, but I thought it was very accurate. I agree with it. Now, I had Porter, predicting to win the fight. Obviously, just like everybody else, underdog is good to win, right? But in all honesty, I think Keith Thurman was the smarter fighter. His counter shots was just awesome, and I thought that Shawn Porter kept Thurman on his toes. He's definitely one of the toughest fight for Keith Thurman, and like I said, it's just that the cleaner shots, more flashy shots, meaningful shots came from Thurman. And in this situation, I thought that Thurman was more smarter, fighter than Porter, and that Porter, I thought that he didn't defend himself much enough to elude those big shots from Keith Thurman, especially the counter shots. I thought that Keith Thurman did really expect Shawn Porter to come out aggressive, and he did. Shawn Porter was an aggressor to me in this fight, not necessarily the smarter, but he always had his hands down, and that's where Keith Thurman was capitalizing. I thought that it was a definite great fight. We rarely or seldom see fighters fight like this. There was a little bit running. Obviously, I don't think necessarily that he was running because Thurman was scared. I think Thurman was just calculating. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to just get sloppy. And that's what smart fighter does. They tend to move around a lot. I mean, there wasn't much. Funny because Porter said that he thought he won the fight at the end, and that Keith Thurman ran a little bit. I mean, yeah, I guess you can say that he ran a little bit, but for Shawn Porter, like I said, I wasn't in the ring. Obviously all of us weren't. But if that's how he feels, and that's how he feels, that's fine. In my own opinion, that is a rematch necessary, or do we want a rematch? Those are two different questions. Now, is a rematch necessary? I don't think so. Now, would we want a rematch? Yes, sure, why not? I mean, it's a good fight, good scrap. But is it necessary? I don't think so. I think Keith Thurman clearly won the fight. But I gotta give it to Shawn Porter, man. This kid, he's got great heart, great athleticism, and not to mention cardio. I think Thurman was exhausted after the 12th round, and Shawn Porter, I think he could go another 12 rounds. He was just that, athletic. I thought that Keith Thurman was gonna go down on one of those big shots that Porter landed. And vice versa, Shawn Porter took a lot of big shots from Keith Thurman. I thought he was going to go down, but he didn't. He went down on Broner. Some people actually saying that we would like to see, or some people saying that they want to see, and I would, like to see Keith Thurman versus Broner, rather than a rematch, Thurman and Porter. I would like to see that, if they agree, but other than that, it was a good fight. Great scrap. Again, the full fight link is in the description. I thought clearly this is one of the best fights of the year. There was no doubt about it that both fighters showed heart, and that, like I said, the meaningful, more flashy shots came from Thurman. Shawn Porter kept walking on those damn counter shots, and he wasn't protecting himself. But like I said, had he landed one of those big shots, and I was saying this while I was watching the fight, I think that Thurman has a great chin. You know what I'm saying? I think he's weak in the gut. I think that's where Shawn Porter maybe somewhat failed, or his trainer, his dad, failed to study that Thurman is weak in the gut, and that he should have thrown a lot more body shots, especially when they were, hugging each other. I think that Thurman would have got hurt there, would have gotten hurt if he threw a lot more body shots. That's what I noticed. Overall, it was a great fight. I think that Porter is a great champion. He definitely keeps somebody's undefeated champ on their toes. Porter's not the type of person to just sit there and take shots and take shots. He's gonna counter. He's gonna punch. He's gonna throw punches whether it lands or not. So he is definitely one of the best fighters out there at welterweight division, and he's definitely one of the most dangerous opponents out there. He's got 2 losses so far. But doesn't mean anything. I think this kid is a great heart. He's a great fighter, great boxer. More power to him in his future endeavors and next fight. I thought that Keith Thurman clearly won, and I agree with the decision of unanimous decision. Like I said, is it necessary to have a second rematch or a first rematch, a second fight? I don't think so. But if they want to do it, hey, I'm all for it, man. It was a great fight. It wasn't boring at all. They definitely keep us watching. It was definitely one of the great fights I've seen. And other than that, congratulations to both fighters, and ultimately congratulations to Keith Thurman for keeping his undefeated record. Let me know what you guys think. Drop me a comment. And again, the full fight link is in the description. Click that link, scroll down below. You see the highlights and the full fight there. And drop me a comment. And as always, thank you for watching, and subscribe.